everybody. I just finished my class lecture, so my throat 1 hour and 15 minutes talking, trying to entertain undergraduate students. Not easy sometimes, especially toward the end of the class, end of the day. Yes, I'm Shahla. My accent is from Iran. I'm from other side of the world, and I learned a lot in America. I learned how community service is done here. People volunteer a lot in America, and I love that. I didn't do that at all when I was a student. I encourage my children to do it now. I have 3 children. I was explaining them to Mrs. McRobbie yesterday, and just not too long ago. I didn't have much sleep last night. I had a really bad headache. Hopefully I won't mess up. But anyway, making long story short, I really enjoy community work and service, and I thought I would encourage my students to do it. I am so much involved with CITL, Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning, and I go to their workshops, learn new technology. One of the things that I learned from that center is service learning courses. I have been doing service learning courses for a while now, and I thought if this is related to teaching, I would probably talk about my one part of my teaching experience, community engagement pedagogy, and talk about service learning. My slides are not as colorful as Kylie. Sorry about that. I could put some pictures of my workshops and service learning experiences in past. But just quick review or explanation on service learning, why service learning is high labor. It's a lot of work. When I went to it, I didn't know it was going to be that much work. It's just organizing everything, making sure the students make it on time, are there, doing what they need to do, especially undergraduates. And once you make them buy into that concept, then they get more engaged and more excited. So it's very rewarding. High labor on our side, but once everything is settled, it's very rewarding. It's combination of course learning goals and community service, and that's why the reason I like about it is that you apply whatever you learn in the class in a real life, and that's what I enjoy. And meanwhile, community benefits from it too. It's very meaningful way of learning. This is my experience. Who else is getting learning from? Who benefits from it? Besides the students, they do in-depth learning. I also learned a lot myself. Learned about poverty, learned about how to prevent obesity and nutrition, how to do nutrition education for different audiences, different target people from different socioeconomic levels, children, adults. Now I got interested in, I was asked to help out with another institute that I will talk about, intellectually challenged people. I asked you a question, Kylie, about that. Communities benefit from it. Institutions, the schools are asking us to do more of community service now, and being basically part of the community rather than IU campus versus and community separated. We need to be integrated with our community, and that's how the students learn. Either if it is sciences, I am a biochemist, I can teach biochemistry in a community setting. You have to learn how to do it. You have to bring the difficulty level low as you can, and teach it to children, young age children versus people who are intellectually challenged. It's not easy, but it's doable. Anyway, that gave me a lot of experience, and some other background information, creating projects. You can create projects with that gives you a chance to apply your course objectives in a real life with your students. course content to the community-based activities. So coming up with these activities, you have to think about these activities. You know, how can you make those efficient? How can you make those activities work for both, for the students and for the community? It is not easy coming up with a syllabus for the students to use, and meanwhile that syllabus needs to be so good that you don't fail at the end of the semester. I didn't know it was gonna be this hard. Basically, it is not easy. So learning outcomes, positive impact on the students, academic learning, and many they are experiencing real world learning in real world scenarios. Personal outcomes also. I have a couple of slides that shares that student based on what students share with me on their reflection papers that I will talk about. They basically grow up better when they are in these kind of situations where they are right in the heart of the community, middle of the community. Interpersonal development. Many students have experienced that and mentioned in their reflection papers. And social outcomes, career development. Sometimes these students are hired at the community agency. They were there to do volunteer, to do service learning, and then they become regular employees of those. So there's great career opportunities for them, academic learning, leadership skills. I put them in teams and asked them to work on the project as a team rather than one person doing this work and one person doing that work. They come up with brochures, they come up with posters, they come up with lesson plans together, and I make sure that they work together so we have the unity among the students, and so therefore they can practice these. In my regular course, one of the goals of my course is, of course, you always want the students to learn the course material. Another thing is learning the course material. Meanwhile, you're practicing personal leadership skills, through practicing public speaking and how to be in public. I have noticed in past that my students are not really willing to talk in class, and that's and so it's kind of related to being uncomfortable talking to many people in front of you. So that kind of helps these kind of activities help them, those students practice those life skills, practice the communication skills for children, with children and with adults, both. Because I have done I've worked with children and with adults. And the relationship with institution. When I have service learning classes, when I have students in these classes, I talk to them more often. When I say it's labor intensive, I really mean it. I meet them every week separately outside the class, make sure that their project's on time, reflection papers, talk about what to do next. So there is a great opportunity for one-on-one or group meetings rather than just a class meeting, everybody together learning same. People have different level of learning. Some people learn faster than others. This gives me a chance to do one-on-one or just smaller groups rather than a big classroom. So that there are some benefits from that. Community engagement benefits, a stronger commitment to one's research. Sometimes we do research. We have actually done presentations on this, on community service. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about my experience when I finish these just basic slides. So different types of service learning. So when I first started to learn what service learning means, I realized, okay, so where the students are doing service, community service, and they need to learn course topics. So, but then when I got more into it, I learned that there are different ways of doing service. Okay, so do they do just one time? Do they go throughout the semester? How does it work? So guess what? There are both of them are available. There are two different methods of doing service learning courses: direct service versus project-based service. I first started with project-based service because I thought, that's one time a deal. You go and do a workshop. You go and teach them, whoever the audiences are, children, adults, whoever, and give them poster presentations, whatever. And so that was a good start for me. So I started with University Elementary School, where there's a very good diversity. Students from different parts of the world are there. And we did poster presentations. My students went there from our school, and I involved actually other I am from applied health science, so I involved kinesiology. So the professors from kinesiology had their students do fitness. So we did fitness and nutrition because they go together. So we created. So this has become like annual workshop. Every year we've been asked to go and do it. We've been on the newspaper and all that. So that has been very successful. So we teach nutrition and obesity prevention. That's our mission. That's my mission. Those are the classes that I teach. I created obesity health class. It's called Obesity and Health. I'm probably one of the very few faculty members in America who teaches that class. I developed it and I wrote a book on it. So my students are actively going to the community and promoting obesity prevention. So I started with that in a University Elementary School. That was project-based. At the end of this, they worked throughout the semester. At the end of the semester, they did their presentation, and that was PowerPoints, hands-on activities. For example, I wish I would have taken a picture now that you have nice pictures. For example, for soda, we wanted to teach the children why soda is, first of all, soda is bad, causes diabetes, fat gain, and so forth, obesity. And then also we had an experiment. We showed that if you put a container of water and put soda, diet and regular soda, one of them is gonna sink, the other one doesn't sink. And then we just showed the children that the one that sinks has extra sugar that makes it sink, and then that we kind of related that to if you're drinking too much of this, you're gonna get heavier, kind of fat accumulation in your body, making you heavier, and that we kind of have hands-on activities like that every year, depending on what students come up with. And then, so that's one thing. And then a couple of years ago, I started doing direct service where the students go every week. They're supposed to go 1.5 to 2 hours to the agency, wherever that is. In this case, I tried MACM, Monroe County United Ministries. And the students, they have, I don't know if you're familiar with MACM, there are two sections. One is basically food pantry. Other section is they have childcare for people who are in need. So children, they have different age children, young. I think the highest is grade 2 or 3, something like that. So my students were involved in teaching them nutrition and healthy eating habits and obesity prevention. Somehow they were able to play with them in the playground or in the classroom. Other students, they rotated. I made sure that they rotate. Some of them worked in the pantry, food pantry. The students that work in the food pantry, they analyzed we have a program called MyPlate.gov. So we use that to analyze their packages. What kind of food goes into the package that they use for a couple of days, for 3 days. So when they pack these, we did nutrient analysis. So the students learned, they do nutrient analysis in the class, that's good, but this is in real life. They did nutrient analysis of the packages, of the containers that they put in the package, good or bad, and they wrote down in the reflection papers. And also we help them, we have the community agency, MACM, work on their book. What is the book? The book says, okay, for in one bag we should have this can of this and package of that and package. Basically, we want to make sure that they get all the nutrients. They don't go through the nutrient deficiency. So we worked on their books during that time. So we did that for 2 years. And so that was my Macam experience. That was a direct service where we worked with them, with the community agency throughout the semester. Recently, I have been working with My Sister's Closet and Life Design. Life Design is for people, and the clients of Life Designs are intellectually challenged people, and they are basically being helped so they can stand on their own feet. After high school is over, they need something. They need to do something. They need to live on their own. They are being taught how to do it, how to find jobs. And so I talked to Stephanie Shelton in there at Life Design, and we designed a program together, and also we put some grant together. We got the grant. We got some money. We got $3,000 to pay for our material that we would use for our activities, and so in this our lesson plan is we would do a workshop where the clients would come and my students would be teaching them nutrition, food groups basically, and then they would also the clients will be able to see the cooking demonstration. So the hope is that they will learn how to cook healthy food and simple. We have to keep it very simple. Meanwhile, my students are practicing their serving sizes, because afterwards they forget. Exam is over, forget it. But this way, they work on their project over and over, make sure that everything is perfect. So therefore, Life Design clients are going to have something nice and accurate in their hand. And meanwhile, they're practicing each time they see. So they will never forget their serving sizes and food groups. And meanwhile, they're gonna see me cook. I'm the chef this time. So we'll see how it goes. The workshop is on Sunday for Life Design. My Sister's Closet workshop is my obesity health student, nutrition students are doing Life Design. Obesity health students are doing the other workshop, Life Design, My Sister's Closet, and where Sandy Keller is the director. She approached me and she said, can you work with me? And I said, sure. So let's sit down and talk. We had several meetings. This is last year. This year, we have everything in place. We are giving a workshop for them. It was a week from Sunday. And these are women who have been abused or never had jobs or lost their jobs. They are in need. Sandy said they are mostly obese or overweight. They need help. So we're going to do nutrition education, obesity prevention, and also childhood obesity, because many of these women have children, where the target is talking about stress eating and healthy eating during pregnancy and during and afterwards, childhood obesity. All of those will be targeted and discussed. Reflection papers are so important. Having students do everything, that's good. It's like bits and pieces everywhere in their mind. I did this, I did that. But when you ask them to do reflection papers, gradually throughout the semester, after they do things, every week, every 2 weeks, every week, depending on the syllabus, I have them submit some papers and I read them. At the end, they have a big reflection paper where they put everything together. And when they do that, and it is not easy to write those papers. It's academically very rigorous part of the service learning, difficult to write, because they have to put everything together. But I make them require, I think most of the service learning classes are required, is required for most of the service learning classes, because they have to take the time to reflect on service learning experiences. We get them more and more from their experiences, and they think about it, they process it, and all of those are great achievements. And lastly, I wanted to share with you a couple of things. Several of my students came to me and had these this is from their paper, one of their paper. I'm gonna stop talking. You can read. This was from Macomb, where they worked throughout the semester. I think that's the best experience they can get, working throughout with them. And there's another one. I took her last name out, but Daniel had this one on her paper. So, and lastly, when comparing the course to my service, I think that my volunteer work at Macomb has been both relevant and consistent with what we learn in each class. That's my goal. This is, that's when I say it's a lot hard. It's very hard to come up with these kind of courses and make it successful. I really mean it. I mean, if you don't do it right, they're not going to have this kind of experience. You have to be consistent. You have to make sure that whatever you teach, they are applying in that and using that. That's how academically they are improved, and they will never forget that experience. That's how that's what my experience has been so far with service learning classes. One of the students got a award actually last year for doing service learning. This was in Macomb, and what he did, sometimes they allow the students have one-on-one talk with the people, with the clients, and he did that. He was able to do it. He was able to get an interview. And what happened, he really felt bad. Whatever happened to that client, he really felt bad for that client. So here he is. He's, he doesn't have to worry about money or, his appliances, everything he has. But what happened, the person didn't have as much. So that made him think. And he asked me if he could go and get his DVD player from home and give it to that person. I said, I don't know. I cannot make that judgment. I need to talk to the person who is in charge. So I talked to the personnel, and Cliff, his name is, and he said, sure, why not? And so this student goes home, gets his device, and brings it to Macomb. So this person has DVR for his children or her children. I don't know who that is. Anyway, it really does make a big difference on people, and that's why even though I pull my hair all the time, I still am doing it. Every semester I say I'm gonna lower my load. I'm still doing it. Now, how do I use technology? I use Canvas a lot. I communicate 24/7. There are times at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm writing emails, correcting their papers, like I've been doing lately. Video recording and taking pictures of them as a training purpose to the students. And also quality control. Are they doing a good job? I review them afterwards. I review them and grade them based on their performance sometimes. Quadrics, sometimes we do research. We are in the midst of developing the questionnaire so we can see how efficient it is to do service learning for these two agencies this semester, so pre and post. And we're gonna try to follow them up, see over time, do longitudinal studies, see how effective we were. And we're gonna use Qualtrics to do that survey, hopefully. And that's it.